One of the biggest awards up for grabs this season remains to be seen with the playoffs still ongoing. We're still waiting to find out who will move into the Premiership, but we already know the PFA Scotland Awards. They have been decided, and it was a pretty good season.
Aye, well, you know what, right? And this needs addressed right here. Why are you hyping up the playoffs as the only big thing this season when there's a small matter of the Scottish Cup? I know your team get knocked out by Aberdeen. I don't even want to get into Queen's Park, but you completely glossed over it
Yeah,
there.
and I'm not going to lie, I totally forgot about the Scottish Cup.
Aye, because everyone thinks it's a foregone conclusion, don't they?
Pretty much is, isn't it? I
But
mean,
speaking of a foregone conclusion, Brendan Rodgers is ranked rotten, and John McGlynn's the man, apparently.
right, before we get into these awards, and we'll go through every award and we will give our opinion whether we think it was the right winner or not. But I just want to say, I get why they do this because they say they can't do it at the end of the season because people are going on holiday and then they couldn't have the awards, they couldn't have people in attendance, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I totally get that. But I feel like it's difficult to have some of these awards, especially like manager of the season, when you got Brendan Rodgers possibly about to do a treble. And even though I think the guy has, fallen off a cliff basically since like that defeat to Celtic in the Scottish League Cup semi final, if Aberdeen do go on to finish third and win the Scottish Cup, as much as I think they are pretty shite, how could you not have Jimmy Teelan in the running for
Yep.
manager of the
Here,
season?
Davy Gray as well. They could finish third, get the European spot.
Well, he was in contention for it, but like also Hibs could go off the boil, unlikely. But let's say they lose their last three games and maybe get overtaken by Aberdeen.
Yeah, so if he won it and then that happens,
Like what if you give it to Davy Gray, but then he has a bad end to the season and they end up finishing fifth. I just think it's difficult to dish out awards when the season's still ongoing. I get why they do it, but
yeah, they can't get everyone under the same roof later on because holidays, like you said, I mean, Falkirk are in Ibiza, so John McGlynn and the rest of them were there partying, but is it? I'm just not a fan of it, right? I'm
like
not.
what if these awards were dished out a week ago and then John McGlynn's Falkirk bottle it on Friday night and they lose the league?
No, no.
Now, I would argue that Falkirk coming up from League One to Championship and finishing second, I'd argue that's a great season. But is a SPFL Manager of the Season worthy award? I don't know.
No, because he bottled the league if he lost it.
We will get into it. Let's go. Manager of the Season award. John McGlynn, Brendan Rodgers, and Davy Gray were nominated. Do you think John McGlynn was the right winner for Falkirk? Do you think it should have been Gray? Do you think it should have been Rodgers? Or do you think it determines how the rest of the season goes?
I'll give it to John. No complaints with it. Took a team that was, promoted for League One and won it.
All right, let's say Davy Gray wins his final three games as Hibs manager, stretches his legs, finishes clear in third place. But let's also say Brendan Rodgers goes on to win the cup and does an all treble. Would you still stand by John McGlynn, or would you want to change your vote? What is more
I
impressive?
probably would. I'd probably stand by him.
So out of those three, I mean, I don't think. Yeah, no, I would agree, right? I mean, we can, as good as David Gray's third place finish is for Hibs, right, and as good as the run has been in 2025, you've got to also factor in that he was the one responsible for the bad run in 2024.
Aye.
Just like Jimmy Teelan gets a lot of, he gets a lot of criticism for the bad run that Aberdeen have been on in like the final two thirds of the season, but you've got to give him credit for the first third.
Mm-hmm.
So, as good as David Gray's been, I think at the end of the day, all it is a third place finish, and I'm not bashing that. It's the guy's in his first proper season as a manager's finished third. Congratulations, but does that triumph what John McGlynn's done? Is that better than Rodgers winning a treble? Is Rodgers winning a treble easier than Davy Gray finishing third for Hibs? What do you think? What's your thoughts? Explain it. Don't just sit there depressed because your team's not in a cup final.
Well, yeah, that is what I'm feeling, brother. But no, I mean,
Any Rangers players up for awards here?
well, we'll get to him later on. Don't worry. But no, I mean, come on, Davy Gray's done a good job. But you know what? He put himself in that predicament. If he took over when Hibs were bottom and got them to third, different kettle of fish. But his achievement looks good because he himself caused a shite start to the season.
Just said that. Yep, I agree. I
Yeah,
said
so
that.
that's my point. I think it's between Rodgers and McGlynn, right? And
So you think that Rodgers winning a treble is more impressive than David Gray in his first season as manager? Really?
yes, but if Davy Gray came in when they were bottom, then I would consider him in the contention.
But do you think anyone was predicting Hibs to be anywhere near third this season?
Probably not, but no one
So
predicted Hearts to be shite.
so you don't think anyone who manages basically Hibs, Hearts, or Aberdeen deserved this award purely for finishing third?
No, but it's the fucking context of it. I've just explained why if he took over for somebody who was 12 and then he got third, aye, but he was the guy that was in charge of Hibs
All
when he
right.
put
Well,
them down
no,
to
but
12.
Hibs were never expected to finish third. Let's say they had like a stability season where they started off okay and they just went okay for the season, finished third. Is that more impressive or less impressive than what he did?
Yo, it might not be per se.
See, at the start of the season, before Boss kicked numbnuts, this is the question you have to ask, right? What would you say is a more difficult achievement? Celtic and Brendan Rodgers win the treble, or Hibs finishing third? What would you have thought was more likely? If you were given both of them at evens, and someone was giving you a free 10 grand to stick on one of them, what would you have took? Because I know what I'd have took.
The treble.
Aye. That's not me running down Rodgers or discrediting him, but I truly believe that Rodgers winning a treble at the beginning of the season was more likely than Hibs finishing third.
It probably was, aye.
Right, well, that's the point I was trying to make.
But point fact of the matter, you know what? We're spending too much fucking time. John won. See if they picked Rodgers, I wouldn't be greeting. See if they picked Davy Gray, I'd be like, well, you know what? He kind of orchestrated his own downfall then, didn't he?
If Brendan Rodgers wins the Scottish Cup, should John McGlynn hand him this award?
No.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, hand it fucking Davy Martindale, the league.
Yeah, I nearly did, right? Anyway, we can both agree John McGlynn, I think, is a worthy winner.
But see Brendan Rodgers, right? It's insane. He could lose to Aberdeen, and I mean, I'm not going to say it's a disaster of a season because they've still won the league and a League Cup, right? But people will not be fucking happy.
No, as the smoke starts to rise on the West Wing.
I know what's going on. What's going on?
I don't know. I think they're protesting outside. They're not happy John McGlynn won this
Right.
award.
SWPL Manager of the Season could not give a shit. Grant Scott.
Congratulations.
Right, up next, SPFL Premiership.
No, it's a three-way battle for the title. So, not sure how they can award Grant Scott. The Hibs could finish third.
Yeah. SPFL Premiership Player of the Year,
This is the one I don't think anyone can complain
Dyson
really.
Maeda. Yeah, I'm not even going to argue it, man. Unless you want to.
No, what is wrong with you?
Breathing in fucking smoke, my team's pish. How about that? We're up in flames. What's wrong with you? What's up with your team?
Dyson Maeda, great season, phenomenal from start to finish. You could maybe make a case that maybe Kuhn matched Maeda for like a small period of time, but Kuhn had like a great couple of months. Dyson Maida's literally had a great full season, so I can't see any way past Dyson Maeda here.
No, it has to be
I
him.
know people say a shout out to Simon Murray, and he's done well, and he's probably kept Dundee in the league with his goals. But for me, it's Dyson Maeda.
Dyson Maeda every day of the week, and you know, yeah, he missed that chance to win it at Ibrox. But
That's another reason why he should get it.
aye, well, I mean, yeah, right.
I
Winnings.
agree. Yeah, Emma Lawton, fantastic
Aye,
player.
brilliant player, phenomenal. Right, young player of the year, Lennon Miller, beat Igamani, Engels, and James Wilson.
To me, it was tough to pick them. But, I mean, I would have given it to Lennon Miller, but he was injured for a good while. The other three, inconsistent. I think James Wilson's been all right. I don't think he's been good enough to
Do you
deserve
not?
this
I
award.
mean, I said this in the last thing, right? And I'll even take getting Igamani thrown out of it as well. Do you not think young player of the year should almost be reserved for like an academy project?
I mean,
No, because let's be real, right? Is it really fucking fair that someone like Arnie Engels has come in for 11 million from the fucking Bundesliga, right? And he is up at and he's up against guys that are literally straight out of the academy and like James Wilson.
Still in school.
Aye, yeah, literally. And I'll even throw Igamani in. You know, we're talking about a guy who's been hyped up as a wonder kid and cost 2 million. Obviously not the same as a Bundesliga 11 million, yada yada yada. You know what I mean though?
Yeah, but it goes on an age thing, you know. It just doesn't really matter where they came from, whether they were transfers in or whether they came from the academy. It depends on the age, I believe.
Yeah, but if the 49ers sign Yamal or Lamal, Yamal, baby, right, for Barca in the summer for like 270 million,
Someone's going to mention that.
should he,
I'll be in the comments.
what?
Barca, if the 49ers sign Yamal, I'll be in the fucking guarantee you.
I love it being in the comments. Someone commented earlier, your club's got more chance of winning the championship than winning the Champions League.
Champions League?
Aye.
My club?
I don't know who it was directed to, but I'll let you in a wee secret here. Every team in Scotland's got more chance of winning the Scottish Championship than winning the Champions League.
I'd include Celtic in that.
Yeah, what's my point?
Because Celtic could go down. You know, I mean, they could get a points deduction or something.
Yo, as sad as it is, like, I mean,
There's a way Celtic could be. There's a way Celtic could end up in the Championship. I don't really see a way Celtic end up in the Champions League final, like, but
yeah, and then winning it. But and then Brad Spencer got Championship Player of the Year. So do you agree with Brad Spencer?
haven't seen enough of the Championship. I'll be honest.
Right, League One. Who would I give it to? I think Calvin Miller's been pretty good. Hard to say, but I think it would be a Falkirk player. League One Player of the Year, Fraser Taylor, Arbroath. And then League Two player, Big Alan Troyton.
Troughton.
He's 5, and then goal of the season, Jack Arradale, Hibs against Hearts. You know what?
Yeah,
fucking great goal.
That was a great goal.
People are saying, "Oh, it was a hit and hopper. It should have been."
Technique was phenomenal.
No, it was, man.
You can't.
I said once that went in, that's goal of the season.
Yeah.
It's Embra Derby.
I don't mind if people think, I don't mind if people think there's other goals that were worthy of winning it, but let's not downplay this one, you know.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, it's just a hit and hopper." A lot of the best goals are all time are hits and hopers, man.
Yeah.
No, you see, like Roberto Carlos's free kick, right?
No, a lot of the best goals of all times are goals that you could attempt like another 10 times and get nowhere near scoring it.
Yeah. No, but it's like Roberto Carlos's free kick. He's just fucking stuck the boot through that, man.
Yeah, how many times has he hit free kicks and have been shite?
Exactly.
So you could use the same. Oh, he's just hit a free kick.
No, I know.
Yeah. I mean, Jack Iredale could try that another 25 times, I think, and get nowhere near a similar connection.
Look at Dessers against Man United. Took it down, smashed it. How many times does he bounce off and goes at the stadium?
I mean, are we really gonna downplay goals because the players got the perfect connection?
Exactly, man. It's no right. Special Merit Award, Sir Kenny Dalglish. So that is the final one in there. So closing thoughts.
No complaints. I think John McGlynn, can't take it away from him. Back-to-back promotions, I think, is really special. Although what I would say is, I think he won it wasn't back-to-back promotions, it was back-to-back league wins. But I think he won League One with a team that should never have been in League One to begin with. And they were in it for 5 fucking years, by the way. Yeah. Which is actually embarrassing.
No, it is.
But to me, I'm not playing down what John McGlynn done, but I just think that's more impressive if like an Arbroath do it, for example.
Well,
see if an Arbroath win League One and the very next season they win the Scottish Championship, that is fucking special. Now it's really good that John McGlynn done it with Falkirk, but at the same time, I'm not completely blown away. Just like I wouldn't be blown away if Dunfermline had done it, because I think they're a pretty big club that should be minimum top end of the Championship.
Not totally.
So I think League One for those two clubs are like a false representation of where they are.
Yeah, but there is no smoke without fire. And on that note, we're going to check out what's happening in the West Wing. But
there's definitely fire going.
There's something going on, guys. Anyway, till then, peace.